There is a mystery in the human soul that yearns not for the ordinary, but for the extraordinary. We do not seek what is easily obtained, for that which is always available soon loses its value in our eyes. Instead, we are drawn to rarity, to elegance, to the quiet whisper of something not found in every corner. This is the essence of being seen as a luxury, to embody a presence so refined, so unique, that others cannot help but treat you as a treasure rather than a convenience. To walk this path is not to play games, not to chase validation, but to understand the profound truth that value is not declared by others, but radiates from within. When you carry yourself with a sense of sacredness, when you live in alignment with dignity and self-respect, people begin to see you differently. They no longer see someone desperate to be chosen. They see someone rare, someone who must be earned, someone who cannot be compared. The first key lies in your silence. Most people drown themselves in noise, speaking without depth, filling space with meaningless words desperate to be heard. But silence used with wisdom becomes a crown. It makes others lean in. It makes them wonder what is hidden within you. Luxury does not scream, it whispers. It does not chase attention, it commands it through stillness. When you master silence, when you speak less but with intention, you become magnetic. You become a presence that others crave but cannot easily grasp. The second key rests in your boundaries. Luxury is never available without limit. It is not touched by every hand, nor is it consumed by every desire. It is rare and therefore sacred. If you allow yourself to be accessible to everyone at all times, you lose your essence. But when you learn to say no with grace, when you protect your energy, when you decide who earns the right to enter your space, you create value around yourself. People begin to realize that your presence is not free. It is not for everyone. It must be respected, cherished, and honored. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates, and only those worthy may pass through. The third key is refinement. To be seen as a luxury is to carry refinement in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you present yourself. Not perfection, refinement. Perfection is rigid, cold, and unattainable. Refinement is elegance, balance, and grace. It is the small details, the calm tone in your voice, the way you listen with intent, the way you treat others with courtesy, the way you express gratitude without arrogance. Refinement is not wealth, for wealth without refinement is vulgar. Refinement is the invisible aura that makes people feel they are in the presence of someone who honors themselves, someone who has cultivated their essence carefully. The fourth key is self-sufficiency. Luxury is never desperate. It does not beg to be wanted. It does not collapse when it is ignored. True value does not diminish when overlooked. It only becomes rarer. When you no longer need constant approval, when you no longer define yourself by who stays or who leaves, you step into a different category of being. You become sovereign. You radiate power because you are whole within yourself. Others feel this energy and cannot help but be drawn to it, for it is human nature to desire what is not needy but self-contained. A person who does not beg to be chosen is often the one most deeply desired. The fifth key is mystery. What is known too quickly is easily discarded. What is revealed too soon is easily forgotten. Mystery is not about playing games, but about revealing yourself with patience. Allow others to discover you layer by layer, like a work of art that reveals new beauty each time it is observed. Share enough to connect, but not so much that you strip yourself of intrigue. The human spirit craves wonder, and when you embody mystery, you give others the gift of wonder. You become the question that lingers in their mind, the thought they cannot easily put away. The sixth key is mastery. To be seen as a luxury, you must cultivate mastery over something: your craft, your mind, your body, your purpose. People respect not what you claim but what you demonstrate. When you devote yourself to growth, when you refine your talents, when you carry the quiet confidence of one who is skilled, you no longer need to prove your worth. It becomes evident. Luxury is associated with excellence, and excellence is born from mastery. The person who has disciplined themselves to rise above mediocrity cannot help but stand apart, like a rare jewel among stones. The seventh key is presence. Luxury is not rushed, it is not frantic, it is not scattered. It is calm, composed, intentional. Your presence speaks before your words do. When you enter a room, do you rush to be noticed, or do you carry yourself in such a way that others naturally turn toward you? Presence is energy, and energy cannot be faked. It comes from your inner state, your stillness, your confidence, your awareness of who you are. Cultivate presence, and you will not need to demand attention. It will find you. The eighth key is standards. A luxury is not found in a bargain bin. It does not compete with the ordinary. It holds itself at a higher level, and others rise to meet it. When you have standards, not just for others, but for yourself, you elevate your existence. How you dress, how you eat, how you treat your body, how you choose your company, how you spend your time, all reflect your standards. If you do not respect yourself, do not expect others to see you as rare. But when you live with standards that reflect dignity, others will feel they must rise to meet you. They will sense that being in your life is not a casual opportunity, it is a privilege. The ninth key is alignment. Luxury is authentic. It does not pretend to be what it is not. It knows its essence and lives fully in that truth. To be seen as a luxury, you must live in alignment with your values, your vision, your highest self. When you betray yourself for acceptance, when you abandon your truth for approval, you become common. But when you remain aligned, even when it costs you approval, you become untouchable. Alignment creates integrity, and integrity creates power. It is this inner power that radiates outward, making others sense that you are not to be taken lightly. To be seen as a luxury is not to wear wealth, but to embody worth. It is not to chase recognition, but to live with such authenticity that recognition becomes inevitable. It is not to hide your light, but to refine it until it glows in a way that cannot be ignored. When you embrace silence, when you guard your boundaries, when you live with refinement, when you embody self-sufficiency, when you cultivate mystery, when you pursue mastery, when you radiate presence, when you uphold standards, and when you live in alignment, you do not need to convince anyone of your value. They will feel it. They will see it. They will know, without words, that you are not common. You are rare. You are luxury. There is within every human being a quiet desire not to be seen as ordinary, not to be handled like a common object, but to be regarded as rare, significant, and valuable. This longing is not vanity, it is rooted in the very essence of our soul, for deep down we know that our existence is not trivial. We sense that we were not created to be disposable, to be overlooked, to be treated as if our presence could be easily replaced. Instead, we carry within us the imprint of uniqueness, a design that no other being can replicate. To be seen as a luxury, to be regarded as something precious and irreplaceable, is not about appearances or possessions. It is about embodying the truth of your own worth in such a way that others cannot help but feel it. The first truth you must embrace on this journey is the power of silence. In a world where most people are desperate to be heard, where every moment is filled with chatter and noise, silence becomes a rare jewel. Most people believe that the more they speak, the more they will be valued, but this is an illusion. The more words are spilled carelessly, the cheaper they become. When you speak little but with intention, your words begin to carry weight. They echo in the minds of others because they are not drowned in excess. Silence makes people curious. It draws them closer. It makes them lean in and wonder. Think of the most luxurious spaces, the finest restaurants, the grandest halls, the most refined sanctuaries. They are not filled with noise. They are filled with calm, with stillness, with an atmosphere that demands reverence. When you master silence, when you no longer feel the need to fill every gap with explanations or excuses, you cloak yourself in mystery, and mystery is the language of value. But silence alone is not enough. You must understand the sacredness of boundaries. Luxury is never available to everyone at all times. It is limited, rare, and carefully protected. To be seen as valuable, you must protect your energy in the same way. When you say yes to everything, when you allow everyone access to you without discernment, you lose the very aura that makes you rare. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about choosing carefully who earns the right to be close to you. It is about recognizing that your presence is not a commodity but a privilege. When you set boundaries with grace and firmness, others may resist at first, for people are used to taking what they want without reflection. But over time, they will come to respect you, to understand that your presence is not something they can misuse or take for granted. Boundaries create value. They turn your time, your energy, your love, and your attention into treasures rather than conveniences. Refinement is the next truth. Refinement is not perfection. It is not about rigidly adhering to impossible standards or presenting yourself as flawless. Refinement is elegance in motion, grace in the way you move through life, attention to the details that most people overlook. It is the difference between noise and music, between clutter and harmony, between excess and balance. Refinement can be found in the tone of your voice, in the patience with which you listen, in the care you put into your words. It is found in the way you choose your actions deliberately, not impulsively. Refinement is a kind of inner polish that makes others feel that you are living with intention. It is not about wealth, for wealth without refinement is crudeness. It is about the way you cultivate yourself, the way you walk with calm confidence, the way you embody dignity even in simple things. When you embody refinement, people sense that they are in the presence of someone who honors themselves, someone who has taken the time to rise above the ordinary. To be seen as rare, you must also embody self-sufficiency. Nothing diminishes value more than desperation. The moment you beg to be chosen, the moment you collapse when ignored, you become common. True luxury does not chase. It does not scream for validation. It exists in its own power, knowing that those who recognize its worth will make the effort to obtain it. When you learn to stand in your own fullness, when you know that your value does not depend on the recognition of others, you radiate a power that cannot be ignored. People sense it when you no longer need them to define you. They are drawn to you precisely because you are whole without them. This is the paradox of attraction. The one who no longer needs to be chosen often becomes the one most deeply desired. And yet, wholeness must be balanced with mystery. That which is revealed too quickly loses its allure. What is easily understood is easily discarded. To be seen as rare, you must embody a sense of depth that cannot be consumed in a single glance or a single conversation. Mystery is not deception, it is restraint. It is allowing people to discover you layer by layer, to be surprised by the depths of your soul over time. You do not have to tell your entire story in one breath. You do not need to reveal every thought, every feeling, every dream at once. Luxury reveals itself slowly. It enters, it fascinates, it makes people want to know more. When you hold something back, when you allow curiosity to grow, you create a magnetic pull. You become the thought that lingers in their mind long after you've gone. You become unforgettable. To deepen this sense of value, you must cultivate mastery. Mediocrity is abundant, but mastery is rare. People respect not what you claim to be, but what you demonstrate through excellence. When you commit yourself to growth, when you refine your talents, when you dedicate yourself to rising above the average, you distinguish yourself without needing to announce it. Mastery is not about competition, it is about devotion. It is about showing through your actions that you have disciplined yourself to become extraordinary. Luxury is associated with excellence, and excellence cannot be faked. It is the result of patience, practice, and persistence. When people witness mastery in you, whether in your work, your craft, your communication, or the way you carry yourself, they cannot help but see you as rare, as someone set apart from the ordinary. Presence is another truth that cannot be ignored. Luxury is not rushed. It does not scatter itself in all directions. It does not move frantically, desperately trying to prove its worth. Luxury is calm, composed, intentional. The same is true for you. Your presence speaks before your words ever do. When you walk into a room, do you shrink, trying not to be noticed, or do you carry yourself with the quiet assurance that you belong wherever you are? Presence is energy, and energy cannot be faked. It comes from knowing who you are and being unafraid to inhabit your space fully. Presence is not arrogance, it is awareness. It is the ability to stand still and allow others to feel your essence without you needing to demand attention. When you cultivate presence, you find that attention comes naturally. People look toward you not because you seek it, but because you radiate something undeniable. Standards are what hold all of this together. Luxury is never found in the bargain aisle. It does not lower itself to be chosen. It holds itself high, and others must rise to meet it. To be seen as rare, you must live with standards that reflect your value. This means choosing carefully how you present yourself, how you nourish your body, how you spend your time, how you allow yourself to be treated. It means refusing to settle for less than what aligns with your dignity. Standards are not about arrogance or exclusion. They are about respect. If you do not respect yourself, no one else will. But when you live with standards that demand respect, others feel the shift. They recognize that being in your presence is not a casual opportunity, but a privilege. They realize they must bring their best selves forward if they wish to remain in your world. The final truth is alignment. Luxury is never false. It does not pretend to be something it is not. It knows exactly what it is, and it embodies the truth without apology. To be seen as rare, you must live in alignment with your essence. You must know your values and refuse to betray them. You must know your worth and refuse to abandon it. When you live in alignment, even when it costs you approval, you become untouchable. People may not always agree with you. They may not always understand you, but they will respect you. They will sense that you cannot be swayed by trends or by pressure. They will know that your truth is unshakable, And in a world filled with pretenders, that authenticity is a luxury in itself. And so, when you embody silence that speaks louder than noise, when you guard your boundaries like sacred ground, when refinement becomes your natural rhythm, when self-sufficiency frees you from desperation, when mystery surrounds you with fascination, when mastery distinguishes you from the common, when presence makes your energy undeniable, when standards lift you above mediocrity, and when alignment makes your life whole, you no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. They will feel it. They will see it. They will know that you are not common, not ordinary, not replaceable. They will recognize without needing to be told that you are rare. You are value itself. You are luxury. There exists a deep longing in the human soul, a longing not simply to be seen but to be regarded with reverence, to be valued not as something common but as something rare. Every person, whether they admit it or not, desires to be recognized as unique, to be treated as though their presence carries weight, to be felt as though their existence is not replaceable. It is not vanity to want this, it is truth. For within you exists a design unlike any other, an essence that cannot be duplicated, a soul that holds treasures not found elsewhere. Yet so often, people hand away this truth. They lower their worth for acceptance, they dim their light to be chosen, and in doing so they are seen as ordinary. They are treated as though they hold no rarity. The path of true value is to embody your own essence so deeply, so unapologetically, that others have no choice but to recognize that they are in the presence of something not easily found. To be seen as a luxury is to step into that truth and to live in such a way that others feel it, even without words. It begins with silence. Most of the world is addicted to noise. People talk endlessly. They overshare. They beg for attention through words that carry no weight. They think that speaking more will make them matter more. But the opposite is true. The more cheaply words are spent, the less value they hold. Silence, however, is power. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It creates intrigue, it commands respect. It makes others lean closer because they want to understand what is not being revealed so easily. Think of the rarest spaces, the most exquisite places. They are never filled with chaos or clutter. They are still, they are serene, they hold an atmosphere that speaks louder than words. Silence makes your words worth listening to when you finally choose to speak. It makes your presence magnetic. When you no longer rush to fill every gap, when you no longer explain yourself unnecessarily, when you are content with your own stillness, you radiate something rare. Luxury does not beg to be noticed, it whispers, and in that whisper is power. But silence alone cannot hold value if it is not paired with boundaries. What is rare is always protected. You cannot find diamonds on the surface of the earth. They are hidden, guarded by depth, and only those willing to dig with devotion will find them. In the same way, your energy must be protected. When you allow yourself to be too easily accessible, when you say yes to everyone, when you let anyone walk into your life without discernment, you become common. Boundaries are not about arrogance. They are about honoring your own worth. They are the invisible gates that separate the sacred from the profane. To be seen as a luxury, you must choose carefully who you give your time, your energy, your intimacy, your trust. People value what they must earn. People respect what they cannot simply take. If you hand yourself over to everyone, they will learn to treat you as disposable. But when you create boundaries with grace, when you decide that your presence must be earned, you create scarcity, and scarcity breeds value. Those who remain in your life will rise to respect you. Those who cannot will fade away, and that is a gift. Refinement is the next key, and refinement is not about perfection. Perfection is rigid, impossible, lifeless. Refinement is elegance, the ability to take what is raw and shape it with care. Refinement is the grace with which you move, the intention in your gestures, the patience in your tone, the kindness in your words, the thoughtfulness in your actions. It is the details that others overlook. You do not need wealth to embody refinement, you need awareness. You need to treat yourself and others with a sense of dignity. Refinement is knowing how to carry yourself with calm confidence, how to maintain composure when others lose theirs, how to cultivate beauty in the smallest things. Luxury is not loud, it is not exaggerated. It is subtle, it is balanced, it is deliberate. To refine yourself is to polish your presence so that it shines not with arrogance but with quiet power. People notice refinement because it is rare in a world of haste and carelessness. When you embody it, you set yourself apart. Yet refinement cannot exist if you are dependent on others for validation. This is why self-sufficiency is vital. Nothing strips away value faster than desperation. Desperation is the language of scarcity, and people instinctively turn away from what feels needy. A person who collapses when ignored, who begs to be chosen, who pleads for attention, cannot be seen as rare. To be seen as a luxury, you must become whole within yourself. You must no longer tie your worth to who stays or who leaves, to who notices you or who overlooks you. You must know your own worth so deeply that you stand sovereign. When you are self-sufficient, when you are fulfilled within yourself, you carry an energy of independence that is magnetic. People are drawn to those who do not need them, for need creates pressure, but wholeness creates desire. When you no longer seek validation, you become validation itself, but self-sufficiency must be coupled with mystery. What is rare is not fully revealed at once. That which is easy to understand is easy to discard. To be seen as valuable, you must become layered, like a story that reveals itself slowly with time. Mystery does not mean deception. It does not mean manipulation. It means restraint. It means allowing people to discover you gradually, letting curiosity build, letting intrigue grow. You do not need to announce every thought, every feeling, every dream. You do not need to expose every part of yourself to be real. In fact, the more you reveal too soon, the less space you leave for wonder. And human beings crave wonder. They long for the unknown, for discovery, for fascination. When you embody mystery, you linger in the mind of others. They remember you not because you gave them everything, but because you left them wanting more. That is the essence of luxury. It is desired not because it is fully known, but because it is rare and leaves an imprint of wonder. To be seen as rare, you must also cultivate mastery. Luxury is tied to excellence, and excellence is never accidental. It is born of discipline, of patience, of devotion to growth. When you rise above mediocrity, when you pour yourself into your craft, when you refine your skills until they carry weight, you distinguish yourself. People do not admire what you merely talk about, they admire what you demonstrate. Mastery gives you quiet confidence. It removes the need to prove yourself because your presence already speaks. A person who has cultivated mastery, whether over their work, their mind, or their own self, radiates a kind of power that cannot be ignored. Luxury is not just about being beautiful or rare, it is about being excellent. And excellence is irresistible because it is rare in a world content with average. Presence, too, is essential. Luxury does not rush. It does not scatter itself. It is composed, intentional, unshakable. Presence is the ability to fill a space without trying, to draw attention without asking, to be felt before you are heard. When you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself speaks volumes. Do you shrink, apologizing for your existence, or do you move with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they belong? Presence is energy, and energy cannot be faked. It comes from being rooted in yourself, from being unafraid to stand in your truth, from embodying calm strength. Presence is not arrogance, it is awareness. It is the ability to inhabit your space fully, and when you do, people cannot help but notice. They feel something different, something magnetic, something they want to be near. Standards are the structure that holds all of this together. Luxury never lowers itself to be chosen. It holds itself high, and those who wish to obtain it must rise to meet it. To be seen as rare, you must live by standards that reflect your worth. You must be careful with what you accept, how you allow yourself to be treated, what you tolerate, and how you present yourself. Standards are not about exclusion, they are about respect. If you respect yourself deeply, others will be forced to respect you. If you do not, they will treat you as common. Standards show others that you are not desperate for their approval, that you value yourself enough to walk away from what does not align. They create an aura of scarcity because people know they cannot have you unless they are willing to rise. And in rising, they grow. And finally, alignment. Luxury is authentic. It does not pretend to be what it is not. It does not seek to imitate. It knows itself and lives fully in that truth. To be seen as rare, you must align your actions, your choices, your words, and your values. You must refuse to betray yourself for approval. You must refuse to wear a mask to be accepted. Alignment means being true to yourself even when it costs you. It means holding your integrity even when others do not understand. And when you live in alignment, you radiate a power that cannot be faked. People sense it. They may not always agree with you, they may not always understand you, but they will respect you. Because authenticity is the rarest luxury of all. And so it is that when you embody silence that commands curiosity, when you protect yourself with boundaries that create respect, when you cultivate refinement that radiates elegance, when you walk in self-sufficiency that frees you from need, when you embrace mystery that fascinates the soul, When you pursue mastery that elevates you above mediocrity, when you radiate presence that captivates without effort, when you uphold standards that demand respect, and when you live in alignment with the truth of who you are, you no longer need to beg to be valued. You no longer need to plead to be chosen. Your value is self-evident, your presence is undeniable, and others will recognize without words that you are not ordinary, you are not replaceable, you are not common. You are rare, you are worthy, you are lucky.